It's great to be here. In the sacred text that the Christian and Jewish communities share, the creation of the cosmos begins with these words, Yehi Or, let there be light. It is speech that brings the cosmos into being. And the first statement is made by God, this language that is put forth, and then the narrator continues, and there was light, and God saw that it was good, and God separated the light from the darkness. So today we celebrate all of the ways that the source of light center has been pushing against the darkness of misunderstanding and division. It has been such a wonderful experience for me to reflect upon the beginnings of the Source of Light Center, the Soul Center. And so I thought I would just kind of say that it's been even more than 21 years, probably 22 years, since the seed of the thought that ultimately became the Soul Center began. And we have so many people and organizations to thank as we look to how the Soul Center came to be. First, it was a congregation, a session, our governing body in the Presbyterian Church, of thinking how to use the Center for Education, a building that was going to be built, and to ensure that this not be just used on a Sunday, but rather used as a space for understanding. And in the very beginning, we were very fortunate to be invited by the Lilly Foundation to a gathering of congregations at Fifth Avenue Presbyterian Church in New York City to talk about adult education programs. And so Jack Jackson and I went, and we learned a lot from congregations that had entered into these kinds of endeavors. We also consulted with folks in the lifelong learning program at Columbia Theological Seminary in Decatur, Georgia, and they were very helpful to us. One of the things they told us was always be sure to offer a study of the Presbyterian Women Horizons Bible Study, because that will build a group of people who will really gain from what the knowledge that comes from scholars, which we have because we have so many organizations and institutions of higher learning here in San Antonio and in Austin as well. And so then I have to say that we pulled together a steering committee of folks who were a part of University Presbyterian Church just to begin to bounce ideas around. And ultimately, the session, the governing body at University Presbyterian Church, not a large church, a medium-sized church, took the risk of devoting seed money to an idea that wasn't fully formed. And we were very, very grateful that at that same time, Jack Jackson agreed to become the founding director of the Soul Center, and he's the one we credit with the name, the Source of Light Center, and to put his efforts with very little compensation as he began. And so these first efforts were just, kinds of efforts of hope of what might be possible so that we could push back against the darkness of misunderstanding. I want to thank those folks who were Soul Center ambassadors in the very beginning, because what we had to do was move a lot of chairs and tables and make sure that there were markers and easels and all of those kinds of things that were there. We benefited so much from our partners here in San Antonio and the interfaith community. And I will dare to say that had it not been for the leadership of Temple Bethel, that the Soul Center would not have come into being, and especially Rabbi Sam Stahl, Rabbi Barry Block, and Rabbi Allison Bergman Van. In those early years, Rabbi Stahl had, in his time in San Antonio, had been a part of interfaith work that had kind of fallen by the wayside. And so when the efforts at the Soul Center came to be, he readily embraced that, and we're so, so grateful. And both Barry Block and Allison Bergman Van also were teachers in our very early time. I imagine that many of you know that after we had had a soft launch of a Presbyterian Women Horizons Bible study in that summer of 2001, that our first class was on September 11th of 2001, and it was a course entitled The Spirituality of Gardening. And so rather than canceling the class, we went ahead. We had a short time of prayer and contemplation, and then the class moved forward. Both of those leaders, Big Jackson and Bob, what was Bob's last name? Do you remember? Bob Frere, were the teachers, so they are now of blessed memory, and we give thanks for their leadership on that particular day. I thought I would just share one story of one particular memory that I hope will make you smile. One of the times when there was kind of controversy growing in our community was at the time when the film, The Passion of the Christ, came out. And some of you might remember that. It was produced by Mel Gibson, and there was a lot of discussion about that in both especially Christian and Jewish circles. And at the time, Barry Block and I were both serving on the Planned Parenthood board, and I had been thinking this really is a great opportunity for the Soul Center to sponsor some great conversation and help us understand each other and what we are seeing. So I had this idea that we could go watch the film and then we would host a discussion. So Barry and I were at a Planned Parenthood board meeting, and I walked down the hall with him, we even walked out to my car, and the whole time I'm thinking, I've got to ask him if he'll go see The Passion of the Christ with me. And we got to my car, and I just couldn't do it. So I got in my car and drove back to my office and did the courageous thing. I sent him an email and asked him. And he said in the email response, he said, I've already written in communication to the congregation at Temple Bethel that I am not going to attend this film because I'm going to trust my Christian clergy friends to interpret it in ways that are appropriate. And he said that I might be wrong, and I will think about it. And in this most gracious and generous way, he agreed to go to see the film. So he and I and a couple of others, including Francisco Lozada, who has been teaching religion at Incarnate Word, Catholic, we all went, and we're waiting around in the lobby of the theater for the film to begin. And Barry and I have been interviewed several times about this event and about the film in general. And just as we are there, two busloads of people from Cornerstone Church pull up. And so they pile out, and they're there, and they come, and they immediately recognize Barry, and they come up to him and say, "Oh, well, we saw you on TV." And I'm sitting there thinking, well, I was on TV too. But we did go to the film, and we had a discussion on that Sunday evening of Fill the Sanctuary at University Presbyterian Church. And because Sundays nights are a usually pretty slow news night, the TV camera showed up that night too. So the next day, my day off, I go to the lingerie shop to buy some new bras. And the saleswoman looks at me as she's fitting me for a new bra and says, "Didn't I see you on TV last night?" But the outcome of that discussion is that she told me that her husband is Jewish. She is Christian. And so talking about that film and hashing it out between them, it helped to push back some darkness in their relationship. Well, today, with this expansion of partners and the celebration of all of you, I join you in celebrating all the past ways that the Soul Center has helped to push out the darkness, the present ways that that is happening under Dawn's great leadership and the leadership of your current board of directors, and all the future ways, because as we all know, that darkness, that misunderstanding, that division is still strong. But we are compelled by hope. And so, with hope, we look toward the future. Here's to the Soul Center.